Hi, Carolyn. First, Here's What Happened podcast and Carolyn Talks. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, Bentley. And my question has to do with the structure of the show. That you use the breaking of the fourth wall quite often in the episodes, and I wanted to ask you about the decision to do that because we don't normally get comedies where the characters break the fourth wall that often now these days. It used to happen a lot in like the 70s and the 80s, but we don't really see it much in these present times. So could you just say a little bit about that decision?
One of the things the decision that we made was that we wanted to make sure that the show was traditional sitcom. So it wasn't, we weren't going for fireworks and explosions and different things that you've seen Jamie a part of. We wanted to go with the traditional model of doing sitcom. And so in that, you've seen shows like The Office take stabs at doing these commentaries to the camera. And so Jamie thought that it would be an interesting way to do the show. In other words, we didn't want to do the show to look like any other show that's on the air right now. So it was a creative decision that myself and the showrunner that was there prior to me joining the team, which is a complicated story, I'll tell you about it. But they had already kind of put that in place. So it was already instituted by the time I came into the program, but we just kind of tweaked it and made it work for the confines of the show.
So, could you talk a little bit about the casting? Because with Netflix, I think you probably do have a bit more latitude with who you get to cast with regards to the roles. Because we have like a character who's a cop, and you mentioned like telling stories about Black Lives Matter, and when you have a white cop in the storyline, like there are ways that you can incorporate these real life situations into the script. So, could you just tell me about doing those kind of storylines and how you casted the characters for them knowing the storylines that you were going to tackle?
So when we casted the characters, it had nothing to do with race. I would say that uh, Jamie had worked with Jonathan Kite, who plays Johnny the cop on the show. It happened even prior to the George Floyd scenario that took place. But I didn't want to tell that story. And later on in the episodes, you'll see that we did make a conscious decision to change his occupation from being a cop because of something that happened in the subject matter of the episode. And that was my choice because I felt like we could have more fun and less controversy by changing that character. It had happened prior to me being there with the showrunner that was there prior to me. They made that decision to make him a cop, and I thought that that was wrong. And after conversations with Jamie, he agreed. So we made that change. But I think all the casting was done through Kim Coleman, who I had never worked with, but I was very familiar with her work. And a lot of the casting was done with relationships. It was Jamie and Portia Coleman had done a movie together, so he felt like she should be his sister. And David Allen Greer obviously was a no-brainer. There was George Wallace originally played the father in the pilot episode that we shot, but because of due to COVID, situations, he had to bow out, and then it left an opening for us to go and get David Allen Greer, and it made sense to us. So we just decided to make that decision just on a whim, and David was available and amenable, and so we worked the deal and brought him on in. And then all the other casting that was done, it was just done as traditional casting through a casting director.